God sometimes talks to me and just gives me these words, and these words just come up, and I'll be watching TV and this word will pop out, or I'll be in a conversation and this word will pop out, and I'll start to know, and it'll go on for weeks and weeks at a time where you're just hearing the same word, and it's like every time somebody says it just echoes or amplifies in your head, and this word that God's been giving me, I'm going to talk about today, and this word is disillusioned. Spell it. No, I'm just kidding. So many of us thought our lives would be one way, and then we get disillusioned with the way things turn out for us. It's like when we were kids, me and my brothers had this good idea. We were going to play baseball with a basketball. We did stuff like that. And instead of just, tossing a basketball and hitting it, we would play fast pitch basketball. Now, anybody ever done this? Then you know where I'm going, right? Because when you hit it, and you hit it just right, the bat comes back and slaps you in the side of the head just as hard as you swing it. And it usually hits you somewhere right around in here. And there's this wobbly feeling, numb. It don't hurt. You don't really feel it. It just kind of is going, whoa, 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 whoa. And I mean, if you never tried it, you got to try it. I mean, you got to do it. It's awesome. Anyway, it's that kind of feeling that, whoa, whoa, like you've been hit in the side of the head with a bat. It's that kind of feeling in life I think a lot of us have experienced. For some of us, man, it was like we go through high school, we have these ideas of what's going to happen and who we're going to become and what our life's going to look like. And then one day we wake up and we're 30 and it's still kind of just flat. And you have this realization like, wow, I cannot believe, but this is my life. And it's just kind of like, whoa, 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 and we're going, and it's like everything you try, it just doesn't seem to catch, and so you never experience that life like we think we're going to get into, when we're young. Or for some of us, it's like we think, oh well, I'm gonna do this. So we go to college to pursue a career, and we like work hard, and then we wake up, man, and it's like, oh, by the way, you don't have a job tomorrow. You don't need to come in tomorrow. And it's like, what happened? Everything was going so good, and I'd worked so hard and poured everything into this, and now it's over, and I can't go that direction. Or maybe even it's in our spiritual life, like. Some of us, we go to church when we're kids, and we go to VBS, and we go to church camp or whatever, and we go and we say this prayer, and we go down and we shake the preacher's hand, and he's like, if you want to go to heaven, then you must admit you're a sinner. You must believe, and he tells you these things, and we do that, and we go through this, and it's like, now what? And nothing ever really happens. Nothing ever really changes. Like we're still the same, and we go through life, and maybe you do that every year. Like anybody ever do that? Every church camp and every VBS and every time it comes up, man, we're doing this again and again. And it's just not working. And for some people, man, they may not do that. They may just give up on the whole thing. Religion will never work for me. God will never work for me. So you go out and you try this other way of living. And you do everything you can, man. And you think, well, if we could just party hard enough or do whatever we want, we're free. We can live however we want. And we go through that way of living. And man, at some point, someday, man, you're just like, wake up and you're tired. You ever been there just like worn out from the party and worn out from the good time and worn out from all of it? And like it all just gets to be too much. And we're disillusioned with the way our lives have turned out. We've tried that. And maybe even at that point, you're like, wow, this isn't working, man. I've got to have something. And you have some friend who's like going to church, and it's like everything seems to be working out for them. So you're like, yeah, I'll do that. And so you go to church, and you may even participate. You may like come to worship, and you may enjoy it or whatever. And you may even say a prayer. You like yell out to God, help me out here. Like it's not going good. And man, you like sense this kind of something, and you get some relief from the situation. But then, man, before you know it, like tough times hit again. You lose a job, somebody gets sick, somebody gets hurt, somebody dies, something happens. And you're like, man, where's God? God doesn't work. I tried that God thing. I've talked to so many people that are like, yeah, man, I tried that and that doesn't work. It didn't work. And we get disillusioned with the whole thing. I heard this guy teach a couple of weeks ago, man. This sticks with me. And he had done the whole church thing, and like he had done it good, like better than everybody else. He was good, and he acted good, and he did all the good things, but it still didn't do it. So he goes into ministry, and it still didn't do it. So he goes to Bible college, and it still didn't do it. So he goes to seminary, and it still didn't do it. So he starts pastoring a church, and he's still like, God, this whole thing isn't working for me. Where is that thing? Where is that life? Where is what these other people seem to have? Why don't I have it? I've done everything. I've acted right. I've said the right things. I've done the right things. I've been in the right places. I'm doing your will. I'm doing your work. God, where is it? Why isn't it working for me? And you get disillusioned. And he got disillusioned to the point where he was just going to kill himself. Maybe we're to that point. Maybe we're so disillusioned with the way life has turned out that it's hopeless. Maybe you're here today and you feel that like hopelessness. Like you're to the end, man. You've tried it. You've tried church, and you've tried religion, and you've tried the world's way, and you've tried the parties, and you've tried being good, and you've tried being bad. And we know when we act and when we do things, man, that we bring hell in our lives. We know when we go along with the world's way, when we act that way, we know we bring hell upon us. We know it's not better. It's not a better. We never find that thing in life we're seeking or searching for. Like we know we never find it there. But then we go to God's way, and we're just as miserable, only we're trying to be good and trying to do it and so we feel like we've been on both sides, and we've tried everything, and we become desperate, and we're disillusioned with life, and we get hopeless. And I've been there. Man, I was there. I partied till I burn out. And I mean burn out. Like, God, kill me. That kind of burnout. Like I was chicken. I wasn't going to kill myself. You talk tough and all that. If you're too chicken to actually kill yourself. So you're like, God, just, kill me somehow. Take me out. And my prayer was, God, take me out or change me. I can't do this. God, kill me or change me. And it was beautiful and it was amazing, and God just transformed and changed me. I came to that place of total surrender where I just gave up my whole self, and I was serious about it. I wasn't playing about it. And it wasn't just to get out of a circumstance, man. My whole life was over. Not just, man, we get in those bad times and God just relieved this and I'll take care of everything else. Well, everything was jacked up. Like, you've been there where everything's out of control? And God changed me. And man, I started this passion following God, and man, I was like, yeah, man, this is the life. And I was experiencing God and just the kingdom of heaven was real, man, and God was real, and it was amazing, and it was unbelievable, man, and people were like coming, and their lives were being changed, and it was just awesome, and we started like walking and ministering, and I didn't know what ministry was, man. I wasn't trying to be in ministry. I was just had something really great that I thought everybody else needed. I didn't know that was ministry. I just thought that this is awesome. So I thought, man, if I could help these teenage kids to not have to go through what I went through, that would be awesome. So I started working with teenage kids, and man, we were seeing kids, and they were like discovering this real God. It wasn't like a religious thing. It was like real life. And then what I realized is that, man, their parents, they would go home and they would go back into the same environment of hell. And I thought, man, I need to really reach out to these parents. So we started ministering to these parents, and we started sharing this thing we had with their parents. And then it turned into we started meeting together, and then we ended up having church, and it was like the whole goal wasn't ministry or starting a church. The whole goal was that we had this thing, and we had discovered God, and everybody needed what we had discovered, and it was awesome. And man, people were like coming, and they were like seeing that God was real. It wasn't a religious thing. It wasn't a thing you do. It wasn't a set of disciplines. Like there was this real God who really loved us and really, really cared for us, and it was going great. And then the wheels came off. Anybody ever give their life to God and go great, 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 and then all of a sudden, man, it's like the wheels just come off? Like, what happened? And pretty soon, man, the church went crazy, and everything went crazy, and people went crazy, and I went crazy, and Celia went real crazy. And we were just, man, we were fighting. It's like every time we got up, something else would knock us down. I'd get up, and something else would knock us down. I'd get up, something else would knock us down, and I quit seeing change. And it's not that it wasn't happening. You understand, when you get in these places, man, you can't see it. You can't see what's going on all around you. You get in a fog, and you get in a depression, and it gets deeper and darker, and pretty soon it becomes a way of who you are, and it starts to feel really, really good. And you start to wallow, and you start to be in it. And then you start to like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to be here. And you start to come to that place, and you're like, God, what happened? And you're disillusioned with it all. And you come to the place where you're just fed up and done, and you're ready to walk out. And then something happens, and God wakes you up. And for me, it was Chris Wilson. It was like, he came in, and first time I met him, man, he was sitting in the front, down in the front middle. And Brandis had come in with him, and he was going to jail. They were getting divorced, and somebody had told him, well, you ought to come to church. And so she came, and she brought him kind of under the ultimatum thing. And he came in, the first day he was here, first time I met him, he was drunk. He was real drunk. And I loved him, man. Like right off the bat, I thought, this is my guy, man. Anybody that's bold enough to say, man, I'm going as I am. Like, I love that. Like, he wasn't playing. He wasn't putting on a show. He wasn't like here to impress me. It's like, I'm drunk every day. Why wouldn't I be drunk today? And so we started this relationship, man, and he was this totally, radically transformed and changed and delivered, and his life was just set off, man. It was awesome, and their marriage was restored, and then all of a sudden, man, he was just growing, and years pass, and he's just hungry and growing and hungry, and he becomes our children's pastor, and then he starts teaching, and then he's like taking over and doing what I do, and he's leading, and it's just awesome. And one day he gets up, man, and he walks out of his office. He said, I don't feel very good. I'll be back in a minute. And that afternoon he died. And I lost it. I mean, talking about getting hit in the head with a bat all over again. And it was just, whoa, 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 whoa. And that's all I heard for years. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just, And this time it wasn't depression, it wasn't chaos, it wasn't anger. This time it was just knockout. You just don't feel nothing, and you don't want to participate in nothing, and you're just done, and it's over, and you're just like, God, I don't know what you have going on, but I guarantee you prayer don't work, and I don't know if you're real. Anybody? Like, I read this stuff about miracles, and I read this stuff about healing, I read this stuff about casting out demons, I read this stuff about walking on the water, but what I've got's not working. And it's not real. And if you're really the same, man, what happened? So I think disillusion is something we go through. And what I'm telling you is the disillusion that I'm talking about, it's not like, oh, I'm just so deep and dark in my sin. I mean, I'm talking about when you're spirit-filled walking with God, you can become disillusioned. And if you're in a place and you've never been there, like your walk with God is just been in the clouds, man, congratulations. Like, but I think for most of us, there's some place in our life where we get knocked out. In the Bible, there's a story, and to me, it's the story that changed me. It was like that wake-up call, that aha moment, that eyes open. And what's happened is the disciples are following Jesus, man, and he had invested his life into them, and they had walked together, man, and they were raising the dead. I mean, you got to understand, like, they were there, and he's like, Lazarus, come out. And his sister's like, Lord, he stinketh. And he's like, shush, woman, come out. And Lazarus walks out of the grave like, what is up, man? What happened? I mean, I can't even imagine what happened. They see this, they witness this. Jesus walks on water. He cast out demons. He cast out demons one time into a herd of pigs, and the pigs got possessed, and they run off a cliff. And they witnessed this. They saw Jesus touch people, and their leprosy disappear. The blind people, they saw them spit in the mud and put it on their eyes, and they were healed, and they could see. The lame walked. People who had never taken a step leapt for joy and ran off. And they had seen it all, and they experienced it all, and they had been in the ministry with him. They themselves handed out fish and loaves to 15,000 people out of a basket. They knew he was Messiah. They knew it. He was the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he had come to right the wrong, to redeem the earth to God, to set them free. They had been born under oppression. They were under the hand of the Romans, and he was their king that was going to place the children of Israel back at the top where they belonged. He was the one. And the huge crowds followed him, and everybody followed him, man, and they witnessed it and they believed it. He would speak, and people would be raised from the dead away from him. He didn't even have to see them or touch them. They knew who he was, and they were happy, man, and they were celebrating, they were dancing, they were joyful. And there were these guys that had been called from fishing and from tax collecting and from trying to overthrow the government, different career fields. And they had followed him, and they had bear witness to everything he ever did and everything he had ever said. They were his disciples. They followed that rabbi, and all of a sudden, the Jewish leaders, in a plot to get rid of him, used the Roman government to crucify him and to take his life. And everything that they had known and everything that they had believed in and everything that they had witnessed and everything they experienced, it slapped them in the face and left them going, And what do, man? What do you do when you're disillusioned? What do you do when everything comes apart? What do you do? In the book of John, chapter 21, Jesus had been raised from the dead. His body was gone. But everything was in an uproar in this period of time, man. People didn't know. There were sparks and there was hopes and there were things that were going on. But in John chapter 21 in verse 3, all the disciples had gathered together, and Simon Peter stood up and among them in verse 3, and he says this, and Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." And they said, "We'll go with you." I'm going fishing. You know, when they were called, they were fishermen. Then they were changed, and they went through all this stuff. But when they got disillusioned, they decided, man, what do you guys know? All I know is what I've done before. I'm going fishing. And sometimes when we get disillusioned in life, and when we get disillusioned with God, one of our first instincts is to say, I'm going fishing. One of our first instincts, like, God, you're not real. Why did Chris have to die? I'm going fishing. One of our first impulses is to go back into that life we came out of. But something crazy happened that night. All these fishermen went fishing all night, and they didn't catch nothing. And here's the way it works with God. You can never go back fishing. You can try. Anybody ever try? Anybody ever tried to go back fishing? Did you catch anything? No. It's a labor that you just labor and labor and labor. And it's never going to work out. Because you can't be born from above. You can't be resurrected and transformed and changed. You can't know the true God and know the reality of God and experience life and ever go back to the way it was. You can never go back to the way it was. Oh, you can try, but you'll never catch anything. It'll never be fun like it was. It'll never be a party like it was. It won't be misery at the end. It'll be misery from the start. You can't go back. Can I get an amen? Somebody experience that? Yeah, we know this is true, right? You can't go fishing. You can't go back fishing. So what's Jesus do in this story? And this is what got me. Is he comes walking up and starts cooking fish. And then he yells out to them, "Hey guys, catching anything?" Like, he knows they're not catching anything. They've been out there all night. And he says, "Okay, why don't y'all try fishing on the other side of the boat?" And you know, man, like, you've been out there all night. You're sweaty, you're hot, you're tired. You're like, you hadn't caught nothing. And fishing's not fun if you're not catching anything, right? Mosquitoes are biting, like, you know, the sweat. It's just not fun, man. Like, you forget all that stuff when you're reeling them in. But when there's nothing but sweat and steel and no wind and no air and mosquitoes and you're just, you know, it's no fun. And I know they're not having any fun. And he's like, "Hey, why don't you throw your net on the other side of the boat?" They throw their net on the other side of the boat. They said they caught so many large fish that they couldn't get them in. And like Peter, instead of helping, what he does, he grabs up his stuff and he jumps in the water and he's gone because he's like, "I know who this is." Instead of just inviting them up, Instead of just inviting them up and saying, hey guys, I got some fish here already cooked. He has them fish some more, but fish his way. See, there was a change. And they fished his way, and they caught more than they could handle. And they realized who he is. And they come up, and when Peter gets there, him and Jesus engage in this conversation. And in John chapter 21, verse 15, it says this, and when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? And the word he uses is agape. Do you agape me more than these? And agape love is like, it's kind of the love it's a heartfelt love. It's like, do you love me with your heart? Like, you have affection for me. This is like the way we should feel about our friends and neighbors. And like, it's that affectionate kind of love. And he said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And the word he uses, it isn't love, it's, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. It's phileo, and that kind of love is like the love we choose. Like it's a love that is of the heart and the mind. It's a love like I committed. I love you. I'm committed to you. And Jesus says, then feed my lambs. And he said to him the second time, Simon, son of John, do you agape me? And like he had just told him, no, I phileo you. I love you. Like you're asking, are we friends? Are we close? Are we tied? And he's like, I just told you. No, I phileo you. I love you. I choose to love you. Like maybe you didn't hear me the first time. And he said, yes, Lord, you know that I do. And he said to him, then tend my sheep. And then he said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And this time Jesus asked him, do you phileo me? And Peter kind of breaks down here, and he's like, you know that I phileo you. You know that I love you. And the Bible says that he was grieved because he had said it to him a third time. And a lot of people say, well, it's because Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And that would make sense in English, but I don't know. You can draw whatever you want to out of that. He asked him 3 different questions. They were having a conversation more about right now than about the past. I don't see Jesus bringing up my past a lot. I don't see him throwing a bunch of mistakes in my face. So I've heard that message so many times. He asked him 3 times because he denied him 3 times. But that's not my Jesus. That's not his style. I don't know if you get that, but that wasn't. He didn't ask him, do you love me, do you love me, do you love me? He said, do you agape me? I phileo you. Do you copy me? I phileo. Do you phileo me? Just understand, in their language, it's not the same. So I think what he was getting at was, why are you fishing when you should be feeding lambs? Like, why are you fishing? And what he was making him realize was, do you agape me? Like, are we friends? And he's like, man, we're more than friends. He's like, really? Are we friends? No, like, we're more than friends. And then Jesus says, are we more than friends? He says, you know we're more than friends. Then feed my sheep. And what Jesus does is he takes and he commissions those who had been disciples of his. He commissions them as apostles. In Matthew, he tells them, now you go and you make disciples. Maybe sometimes in our lives we go through these things. We go through highs and lows. We get lost in the world, and we get so disillusioned and so broken that we commit ourselves to God. And he says, do you love me? And we're like, well, I don't even know who you are. Do you love me? I don't even know who you are. Okay, go do your own thing then. You come back again. Do you love me? I don't know who you are, but I'm starting to. We go do your own thing again. Do you love me? I phileo you. Like, not only do I love you, but I commit to you. I can't do this. You take all of me. You take my entire life. You take me and you use me and you shape me and you make me into who you created me to be. I can't do it anymore. And we're resurrected and transformed and we're changed because we find the ends of ourselves and we enter into life. And we walk with him and we see miracles and we experience him and we know he's real. We know his kingdom's real, man. And it's awesome and it's great. And then we get beat down by the devil, right? And we go through those things when Rome comes and crucifies us on some cross and takes everything that we knew to be true and everything that we thought was real and everything we had. Like when you're a Christian, you're walking in there and you're like, I got this, man. Just watch out. I love to see those people are like, man, this is so good. I got this, man. Nothing can bring me down. I'll stand back, man, because it's always those people that are condemning you because they're all holy and righteous and spiritual, and you just, I'll pray for you because you don't got it. Like, maybe you'll get it someday. I like said that. You know, they just don't get it. Maybe they'll get it. Or maybe you'll get it. Like, be careful. Pride comes before the fall, right? Be careful. Walk with each other. Journey with each other. Encourage each other. Build each other up. Love one another. Okay. But then we get disillusioned and we go fishing, man. We're like, oh my God, I got to do something. What is the last thing that I knew? Fishing. So we try to go back and do what we were. And maybe we don't go all the way back to like when we were a heathen. Maybe we just go back to like, I'm going back to what I used to do, what I used to know. And so we force ourselves to do what we used to do whenever it worked. Like we'll read our Bible and we'll pray and we'll go through the disciplines of Christianity, right? And then we get so frustrated because it's not working. We'll call reading our Bible seeking God and wonder why it's not working. We'll call saying a prayer that we memorized and say the same thing over. We call that seeking God and we wonder why it's not working. And the whole time God's saying, so you agape me. We're going to go back to doing what friends do. No, I phileo you. Do you agape me? No, I'm reading my Bible, I'm studying, I'm praying, I'm doing all these things. Do you really phileo me? Oh yeah, I remember why I used to do those things. It was because you were the center of my life and the passion and the drive in everything I did. I didn't read my Bible because I had to. I read my Bible because I wanted to hear from you and know your will and seek you. I went to church because I loved being in your presence. I prayed because I loved the conversation. I look forward to the passionate conversations we had. I miss being in your presence. I want all of you. I give myself to you, not just my heart, but I choose with my mind to love you. See, that's a big difference in the translation of the word. Is one is similar to a heart love, and one is a choice, a decided love. And when we decide to love God, we choose that. Like when we fall in love with our wives or like a girlfriend or whatever, we're like, oh, it's so happy, it's so good, it's like so exciting. And as long as everything's good, that's good, right? But the minute everything goes wrong, what happens? Because we're just agape, right? I'm out. I don't love you anymore. I fell out of love. See, Phileo love is like, I have affection for you, but I'm committed to you, and it doesn't matter what you do, I'm here. It's unconditional. Even though I want to beat you with a shovel, I love you. You know, I mean, we've been married, like, there are the days where, like, we go to bed at night, and I'm hoping I wake up in the morning, because you just never know. Women be crazy, boy. And the littler they are, the more fiery they are, too. But we don't kill each other because we love each other. Right? That's why we don't kill each other, because we phileo. A whole different talk. We choose that. And when you're disillusioned, here's where we have to come. We have to remember that it's not just the ooey gooey butterfly, oh God is so good love. But it's in the down and dirty and dealing with life love that I have chosen Him to be the center of my life. That it's even when I don't feel His presence, and even when I'm not sure that all of this works, that I know in my head and in my heart that you are real and that you love me unconditionally. And when we center ourselves back in that place of commitment to God, that everything will change. After this conversation, these guys went out and changed the world. Maybe what you're going through and what you've been through, maybe it's going to be good for you. And maybe right now you're looking at it and you go, I don't know how. I don't see any way this can be good for me. But this is the part of you that changes something deep and strengthens something deep that will carry you through a lot of rough seas. Will carry you through a lot of storms and a lot of brokenness. Because we're going to face that in life. I've noticed that as I get older, more people I know and friends of mine die. I mean, anybody else notice that? Like, people die. We're losing people. We lose people. We lose friends. We lose parents. We lose siblings. We lose people we love and care for. And so, life is always going to have those basketball, baseball bat moments. And look, you can be playing a kid's game and it can all be fun and goofy and great until your brother throws that ball and you just whack yourself in the head with the bat. Right? You usually can't see those things coming in my experience. I would have never saw that coming. Now that I've told you that, you're like, that's not possible, and you're going to go try it. And you're going to come in next week and you're going to have a big red welt on the side of your head and a black eye. I told you. I tell you things and you don't listen. There's a couple of things I want you to leave with today. That God loves you. Amen. He loves you. And He's never going to let you go fishing again. Oh, you can go. You're never going to catch anything. And when you realize, when it comes to you, what is missing is the commitment, the love that you have for God, not just in your heart, but in your head, in your mind, in your choice, in your will. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, all of your strength. All of you committed to all that he is. And you're going to find that place of refuge again. I promise you, it's there. I promise you it's there. You may be beat down so far you don't believe the words I'm saying right now, but trust me, it's there. It's there. Do you love me? That's what he's asking. Do you love me? You guys stand with me and I want to pray over you.